Hey guys, it's Bradlee, and this week on MCN we're going to be doing Storytime Week, and it's supposed to be stories that sort of taught us a lesson or meant something to us or anything like that. And I decided to talk about this one really crazy time in my life, and it's kind of a weird story and didn't even make sense to me at the time. But I hope the way I tell it sort of makes sense to you and you kind of understand what happened. It's really just me like rattling off whatever I can remember, and it may be out of order a little bit and maybe kind of all over the place, and I'm not really going to use real names. This is the story of the time that my so-called friend and wingman stole my catfish boyfriend. So, to start off this story, I was in middle school at the time, probably in 7th or 8th grade. Yeah, there was this one guy who started messaging me, and he was really nice, really sweet, and from his picture he was very cute, which I usually went for more of the alternative person or the kind of like strange one, but he was like the stereotypical pretty boy. And we had been talking for a little while, and we weren't technically dating yet or anything, but we sort of had a little bit of a thing going. We were talking for quite a while on the internet, and I don't even know how long for sure. I can't really remember. I don't think it was like a long time, but it felt like a lot longer than it really was. Yeah, like I said, we weren't technically dating, but we sort of had a thing, and it had gotten to the point where I actually told my friends about it. It was like, 'cause, you do that with, like, crushes and things. You don't really say anything to your friends, or you do, some people do, but, like, once you say something to your friend, that's when it gets serious. That's, like, the actual, like, validation that you were looking for and everything, and so yeah, I had started talking to my friends about the situation. I was showing them pictures of what he said he looked like on his profile and everything. And from what I looked him up and everything, and with the name that he used, those were photos of that guy. So I was like, he's real. That's cool. And how the fuck did I get someone that looks like that to start talking to me? This is weird. But I told my friends. They all thought he was cute. They thought he was really cool, and they were really happy for me, like congratulating me. They were like cheering me on, trying to see how this was gonna go. They wanted this to go well for me. And this one guy I knew, we're gonna call him Tom for now. Tom was very excited as well, and he wanted to know the guy's name. He wanted to know like the guy's profile and stuff. And he's like, "Trust me, I'm not gonna like start flirting with him or anything like that. I just want to see who you're talking to," because he had the same website that we were talking to this guy on. Like, me and my friend both had this, and then Tom also had the website, and he was like, "Okay, well, if you tell me the guy's name, I'll add him and stuff. I'll check him out, see what's going on." Like, basically, like, he was going to approve him for me, and told me that he was going to get the guy's number. He was going to be my wingman. He was like, "I'm going to get his number. I'm going to give it to you, whatever. I'm going to talk you up," all that kind of stuff. So I was like, yeah, that seems kind of weird. I'd rather talk to him myself. I'm not the kind of person that usually has someone else go do my stuff for me, but whatever. If you want to do that, that's totally fine. Tom had promised me he was going to get this guy's number. Fast forward a little bit, I had asked him a couple times if he had gotten the guy's number. He kept telling me no, he was still talking to him and trying to get it from him. It's like, oh, well, that's fine. I'm still talking to him too, and that's cool. Just let me know when you get his number. Later on, he had been talking to this guy, supposedly, and he did, in fact, get his number. Now, did he give it to me? No, he really didn't. He kept it for himself, and without my knowledge, had started flirting with the guy and had asked the guy out, and they were now a thing. And he didn't tell me just about any of this until afterwards, I believe. And as you can imagine, I was pretty hurt by that. The guy that he was supposed to be helping me get, and it was the first time somebody had ever like seriously shown a liking to me, like somebody who had actually started talking to me and seriously seemed to have some sort of feelings for me. This was like a weird thing for me. I was younger and I didn't really have an actual relationship before this, and I was like, this is weird. This could be like my first real relationship. I could actually have a boyfriend. This is going to be weird, but this is awesome. I like this. And now that guy that I thought was going to thought was going to be my first boyfriend was with my gay friend. So you can just imagine how torn apart I was because of this. But I usually keep my feelings to myself. I pretty much kept all of this to myself, besides my amazing best friend who knew the whole situation herself. I had explained all this to her, and she was kind of on my side, I guess you could say, even though I thought it was stupid that people were picking sides in this situation. And she felt the way I did. She thought that was really fucked up, and she was very upset with Tom. So we all still hung out, and we kind of just didn't really talk about that because we didn't want to bring it up. And I kind of had asked, I think I had probably asked her not to say anything because I wanted to keep it like on the down low, I guess you could say. I didn't really want to start anything, obviously. And then they were like a cutesy little couple, the like annoying couple that's overly cute kind of thing, and they were always on the phone talking and stuff when we'd all be hanging out in a group, and Tom would be on the phone with this guy and be flirting with him. And then there was even a couple of times where he had mentioned to the guy that he had a friend who had a crush on him, so he knew how I felt about him. And Tom even gave me the phone once and had me talk to the guy, like, here, this is my friend that likes you. And I'm not sure if they were completely a couple at this time. They might have still just been flirting and stuff, but this was when he gave me the phone one time when we were hanging out, and I felt extremely awkward. I had never talked to this guy before, and he was kind of just throwing me into something, and I wasn't really ready to talk to him yet. I wanted to really bad, obviously, but it was not the right time, especially since it was on somebody else's phone and he was in the middle of a conversation with somebody else. He was more interested in the conversation with Tom, and I kind of just ripped him away from that, and I felt bad. So I just kind of didn't really say much. I was just really awkward and had just like a polite few words or so, and then gave the phone back to Tom. And see, after this, the guy and Tom were a lot more serious, I guess you could say, and I hung out at Tom's house a little bit, and like I said, every time we were hanging out, he'd be on the phone with this guy. They'd be texting or calling and always flirting, and, you know, a lot of the time I try to be extremely supportive because I'm like, he's supposed to be my friend, and even though obviously he wasn't a real friend, because real friends don't do things like that, at the time I wasn't going to be the dick. I wanted to be a good friend, so I was being supportive of the relationship, and if he would say anything, I'm like, oh, that's adorable, or whatever, that's nice, great, I'm glad you're happy, whatever. But on the inside, I was probably trying really hard not to cry. So, me and my very close best friend, we were sitting at her house one time, and she was just fed up with the whole situation. She's like, this is not okay. This is not something that friends do to each other. I didn't trust him in the first place. This is not okay. Tom is not a good guy for doing this. You need to confront him. So, in my little group, there was about 4 people. It was me and my best friend, this other girl that we hung out with. We're all like kind of 3 best friends together, and then Tom. So, in like our little group, me and my best friend were sitting at her house at this time. The other girl that was like our best friend, and is actually still our friend to this day, and she's actually pretty cool, but she was over at his house, and we had finally confronted him. I was like texting him whole freaking paragraphs. I was yexting him, you know, like yell texting. All of it was in caps. It was serious, because that's pretty serious for me. I'm usually the one that avoids situations like this anymore, and I was throwing out all of my feelings and sending him like pages and pages, to the point where like it wasn't even fitting in text messages anymore, of how I felt about this whole situation and how I felt really like betrayed and everything by him, and that I don't think we should be friends anymore if this kind of thing happens. Okay. And then, see, we had found out from our friend that he was there crying, and she didn't understand the situation. All she knew that she was sitting there watching Tom cry from something that we were sending him. She didn't know what it was, but obviously from her side it seems like we were just cussing him out and just insulting him, which is not the truth at all. She got very upset with us and was sending us messages like, that's not, like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Why is he crying? Stop doing that. That's rude, whatever. And we explained to her the situation, obviously not in full because it takes way too long, but just like explained that basically I was trying to get a guy, that Tom stole him from me. But after hearing the entire situation, she agreed more with us and thought that that was horrible. So basically, it was like all of us agreeing and him being excluded from us. And this is the exact kind of thing I like to avoid, is things that tear apart relationships and friendships, etc. And clearly he was more interested in the guy than actually keeping the friendship. And after this had happened, I'm not sure if it was after this or during this, I'm sorry about that, because some of that gets kind of blended together, but there was some time when I had the guy's number that I had been talking to, the one that Tom had stolen or whatever, and I had texted him about this. I'm like, I'm sorry if this is weird or whatever, but basically I was talking to you, or what looked like you, on the internet, and I thought there was something between us, but clearly you don't feel that way or whatever. And he had explained to me that the first time he had ever talked to me was through Tom. He didn't even know who I was, and I was so confused I didn't even know how to feel at that point. And I explained to him that the one I was talking to was on the same website, had the same name, same pictures, etc. And I'm like, what do you mean? You've talked to me, and I thought he was talking to the same one. Like, I thought we were talking to the same person on the same profile even. But after talking to him, he had explained that there is multiple profiles of him. He's like, on there, I believe I have like 2. Like, he was saying, I think that he had 2 because there was like an old one that he wasn't allowed to get into anymore, and then like his actual one, like he had a couple, but only those, and that there was a lot more on there that people had made, and basically a lot of people catfish with his face and name. And I was like, okay, I understand that, but please tell me that the one that I was talking to is at least one of your profiles, because how would he get your number and have you talk to me if it's not the same person? Like, wouldn't he have gone on this website? Like, see, don't know if this is making sense to you, but we were going on the same website talking to the same guy, so I automatically assumed it was from the same profile. But apparently, like I said, we should have checked before, but apparently he was talking to another profile with the same name, and he kind of just assumed that it was the same one. But no, I had like sent a picture or something, I don't know, he had told me what his profile looks like and the layout of it and everything, and explained that that's his real one, but apparently it wasn't, which to me made no sense, because I assumed we were talking to the same profile because I had shown Tom this guy. But I guess when he searched the guy's name, he got a different one and was specifically talking to that one. So from what I understand, he was talking to the real guy and I was being catfished by him, which I didn't even really put together at the time. I was just too overwhelmed by this entire situation. But yes, basically I was being catfished by this guy, and even then, like, even after knowing that we weren't talking to exactly the same guy, Tom didn't know that. See, up until this point, both me and Tom thought we were talking to the same guy, meaning that he didn't care and just wanted to talk to him, even if his friend or supposed friend had a thing for him. See, I very clearly pointed out that I liked this guy a lot, things were going well with us, and Tom went ahead and took him anyway. And even though we found out later that it wasn't the same guy, Tom thought it was at the time, meaning that he was fine with betraying the friendship over this guy. So after this entire confusing, dramatic situation, I was just done. Me and that guy weren't friends anymore. Anyway, Tom, he was not a trustworthy guy anyway, and I should have ended the friendship, so maybe it was a good thing that this thing happened to kind of show me that. But yeah, it was just a really big, horrible, dramatic situation. I can't say for sure that Tom was talking to the real guy, obviously, since he does get catfished a lot. I can't necessarily say that he was talking to him. The guy was apparently just using photos of someone who was there. It was like Instagram and Tumblr type famous. Like, he was just famous on social media basically because people thought he was attractive. I had looked him up and found that out. I was like, who is he? Why is so many of his photos coming up? And it was saying that basically he was like Instagram or Tumblr famous because he posted a bunch of selfies and people thought he was pretty. It was a horrible situation, but it kind of taught me a lesson now, even when I trust the person, I will do like reverse image searches. And now a lot of the time, I don't just go based off of one profile. I will get them on other social media because I personally feel like it's harder to fake a profile if you do it on multiple different types of things. Like on Snapchat, if they take a picture and send it to you, you'll know whether it's actually them taking it right now on the app or them sending it to you from their camera roll or the memories or whatever, because it will send to you differently. So I usually use that to kind of like debunk people. Without the internet, I would not be on this YouTube channel, but that's because I've been through stuff and I know how to do it and everything. And you can find great, amazing people through the internet, but just make sure you're doing it the right way. And I hate to sound like a parent to you, but that's just my advice, and I hope that you at least take in part of this, and maybe you don't even give a shit about my advice, you just wanted to hear the crazy story. But yes, yeah, that's all I really have to say, and this video is going to be freaking 30 years long, but I hope you enjoyed this, I guess, and I don't know what else to say. And yeah, I will see you guys next Wednesday.